Alright guys, so this is going to be my review of the Oshkosh Striker 3000 ARFF. This one is in the United States Air Force, which will be abbreviated as USAF. So, a pretty incredible truck. It retails for around $189, which could be a lot if you're not into fire trucks, but if you are into fire trucks, I believe that it is worth it because it's one of a kind and it has really great functions. So to start off with the functions, it has great suspension, as you could see, and even if you just push down on one side of the model, the other side will somewhat stay level, which you really don't see too often, and sometimes some suspension really isn't even workable. Front axle turns, and it turns a really nice amount, as you could see. But another cool thing is that the back axle also turns, which it doesn't really turn too much, but it turns enough to where it will turn, will affect the turning radius to a nice amount, and it will turn left and right, which is cool. Model has many opening doors, and to show a few, here's one, here's another right here, and there's also one right here, which is cool. So anyway, I'll just show you some of the detail now. Starting with the front, you can see the decals on it. It says United States Air Force. It's very crisp and very clear, which is great. Coming to the front of the model, adjust my camera for this. Front of the model has the windshield, and one thing I want to say is the windshield in the front is huge, and that's great because it shows the inside of the model a lot. Sorry about the glare, but that's better, obviously. Looking on the inside of the model, you could see the center seat, and then to the left and the right, you could see the other seats, and it has the center steering wheel, and it has some joysticks and whatnot in there, assuming to control the gun in the front. And if you look on the windshield, you could see 3 windshield wipers for the big pane of glass, and then it has another gun right here, and then there's another one up top here, but I'll get to that at the end. You could also see it has the mirrors here, and it has the underneath over here, and that's also pretty cool, as you could see. And right here, this also does fold down. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but as you can see, it does fold down, and then it'll come back up, which is also pretty cool. Coming on this side again, if you look underneath, you could see there's a colored rivet right there, and what that does is it'll bring down the steps so you could get into the truck, and that's a really cool feature, how they are able to make it raise and lower. I always keep it lowered, but sometimes it just raises. It's really not something that you could, really make out too often, but if you do, it's there. And you can see it's etched through, which is also pretty cool. The rim is also very nice, and it's painted very nicely. A lot of times when you see small detail like that, it doesn't really paint too well, but you can see the paint on there. It's very nice. And the rubber on the tire isn't too glossy, and it also isn't really like a hard rubber. It's also really nice. Coming up here, like I showed you, here's the opening door, and if you open it, you can see there's a hose in there, which is pretty cool. And then when you close it, I suggest closing it with the tool that they give you, or unless if it doesn't close, you obviously do it with your finger, but it is a very delicate door, if I must say. Over here, you can see more doors, and they do open to the top, but sometimes they do give you a little trouble bringing them back down. But here you can see some storage compartments and some gauges and whatnot, and some hookups for the hoses, to what I believe. I'm not too familiar with fire trucks, and here's what I mean by sometimes they give you a little trouble when they come down, but nothing really crazy. Up top, if you open this door, you can see pretty much just another compartment. Back axles are pretty cool. Like I said, this one turns. It doesn't really turn too much, but it turns a nice amount. And you could see how much suspension the model does have, which is very cool. Back here, this door opens, and this is to reveal the engine. And as you can see, this these little grates over here even etched through. And if we push this one up, sometimes it does give you some trouble. But there you go. If you push it up, you could kind of make out hoses and whatnot in there. It's kind of hard to see in there because it's really not too much light that goes into there, but it's there. Back of the truck is really nice. I like it a lot. First thing that you notice is this ladder folds down, which is really cool. I keep it folded up, but like if you wanted to display it on a scene, you would obviously bring it down, but that's pretty cool. Interesting thing, and I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but these gates right here don't roll down or anything. So, that's pretty interesting that they don't. You could try, like I will right now, but they don't come down, which is odd, but it's cool because there's some nice detail in the back there, which is cool, as you can see right here. Another cool thing is that there's another opening door right here, and it opens, and it not really sure what it reveals. It looks like more hoses and whatnot. I'm not really too familiar with these fire trucks or runway trucks or whichever you want to call it. And underneath you could see it has some towing hitches and whatnot. Up top over here you could see the spotlights and the light bar and whatnot, so that's also pretty cool. The ladder is yellow, is metal. The ladder is metal. I'm not sure if I said that or not, but if I did, there's another one. Over here, once again, etched through, these doors open, as you can see. I'm just going to go quick on this side. This side is exactly the same as the other side. And these doors open right here as well, and they look identical. And let me just close them. Or I'll just leave them open. And if we open up this, you could see some more detail. Really nothing different than the other side. Might be one or two things different on the inside, but besides that, this side is pretty much exactly the same. And here you can see again the step that folds down and the suspension in the front, if you're wondering. Now I will take you to the top of the truck. So let me just raise this up. Alright, so here is the top of the truck. So looking at the top, as you can see up here, for the radiator, I believe that's what that is, completely etched through, and that's metal, which is great. It really shows that there was a lot put into this model. And over here you can see the air intake and the exhaust over here, which is cool. The whole top of the truck features this silver mesh, which is etched through, and it reveals to the deck. So it doesn't really go through to actually show you something, but you could see the black deck. So as I said, the model is pretty expensive, but there's a lot of stuff put into it that costs a lot of money to make. Here's the inputs, I believe for the fuel and for the water, and some more grating over here. And these handrails that you see all along here are also metal, and you have to add these when you get the model. I don't suggest doing it with too much crazy glue, because as you can see, the crazy glue leaves that white residue. So that's not from the factory, that's from me. And if we go to the front, you can see the two light bars over here and the antennas. Coming out of here is for the gun, and I like the gun a lot because it's really functional, and you could turn it all the way around. It turns a 360, and it will lower to around right there, and then it will raise all the way to the back. And the cool thing is that it has little lights on it. It is pretty fragile though, so I don't suggest being too rough with it. And if you're wondering, the underside of the truck looks like so. Here's the front axle, and here's the back axles. So in conclusion, for $189, it's definitely worth it if you're into firefighting trucks and whatnot. If you're into construction models, which is what my videos mainly are about, if you're just watching this video because you searched a model, I would wait for it to go on sale. But if you're into firefighting stuff, I definitely believe it's worth it, because for one, it's a monster model. It's a very big truck, and two, it's perfectly made. I really don't have any complaints about the build quality. So there it is, and I hope you enjoyed the review.